And that's one of the things, I mean, if you've already started to look down at, things to consider, questions to consider, one of the first things on there is exactly that. So
I spend every dime on my HSA.
do you? Okay.
So there's no money in my HSA.
Yeah.
The only money we have is in the HRA.
Yeah. And see, in your situation, it gets a little more complex too, because you have a limited purpose HRA because you're getting contributions to a health savings account, correct? Your HRA is in dental vision orthodontia mode right now.
No,
or it's not.
My husband works for the district, so my husband opts out. He has the HRA. I work for the
gotcha.
district. I have the HSA,
Mhm.
but I spend all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't really use that. I use his money.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, but that's exactly the thing to consider, right? So for anybody who's currently has an HRA and you're opting out, one is, so what's my account balance, right? Because going back to the plans Peg was showing you, right? I mean, you want to look at what's my worst case scenario, out-of-pocket maximum. So the world, we had a really bad year, right? I mean, we feel like the world's ending, everybody's in the hospital, right? Worst case scenario, what's going to be out of our pocket? So if it's $10,000 and your account balance is $10,000, you go, well, at least for maybe one more year, we're in a sense fully covered or whatever, right? Okay, yeah. Well, anyways, probably don't need it anymore. But if we get into the illustrations, you don't want to see my drawings anyways. But anyway, so yeah, that's a really good question to ask there. The second, and you've already pointed to this one, is how am I currently using my account if I have one, right? So if I'm a pretty high user, I'm tapping into that all the time. Next year, since the dollars are going to go to one that I can't access, is that providing me enough of an incentive to keep opting out, or do I want to re-enroll in district insurance, right? So that's kind of, yeah.
Evidently, I missed some. So all of it after October 1st will not be able to be used for reimbursement.
So the question was, after October 1st, it will not be able to be used for reimbursement. No, well,
January.
No, yeah, it's January. It's based on the calendar year. The rules are. How it's implemented, the district does have some flexibility as to when to, I guess, enforce that for where the contributions are going. But based on the rules to date, it just has to do with contributions made on or after January 1 of 2014. But what you said is in a sense true. All the money, do you currently have an HRA? You do. Okay, so all the funds in there today, if there are any, will stay there, claims eligible, ready to use. But you're right, starting in January, whatever that contribution is, it'll start going into that other bucket. And that one can only be used at separation. So if this first bucket, as we were talking about earlier, has quite a bit of money in it, or at least enough to cover the out-of-pocket maximum on your health insurance plan, then that's really, that's kind of the nitty-gritty. Okay, so we're fully covered, or maybe it covers a good portion of it. So we're not going to worry too much about it, at least for another year maybe, because at least you're still getting some sort of a benefit for opting out. But let's say next year that changes. You've used all the dollars or a lot of the dollars in your current bucket of money. Then that's when the decision needs to happen. Is it better for me to come back on district insurance and be double covered again? Or
stay on his insurance?
Yeah, or stay on his insurance and continue to receive a benefit, unfortunately though, one that I can't use until I leave. Still a good benefit, but believe me, I understand for my own personal experience. It's always nice knowing you can use it now if you need it. So, those are the questions to ask. Again, the hard part is there's going to be such a spectrum. There's going to be folks who hardly ever use it, and so they're whatever, that's fine, I don't care. There's going to be folks who are nearing retirement who are going to say, well, that was what I was intending anyways. And then you're going to have, the opposite end of the spectrum.
But
So
it'll still be the same amount that will come in?
yeah, 50% of the cap, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
like some folks here, I'm covered by my husband, who works for the federal government.
mm-hmm.
And we've got great insurance through him. In some of my employment situations, I have not had to pay my salary has been bigger because I didn't have to contribute towards insurance,
Mhm.
basically. It looks like whether I want to or not, the district is going to have this money go somewhere, or is that not true?
That's correct. So if you decide to keep opting out, if that's your decision to not go back on district insurance, and unless there's a change at the district level for the plan, it'll keep going to HRA VIBA, but because of federal rules, they're just going to be required to put it in a different type of HRA for you.
But I don't have a choice whether to get maybe a little bit more kickback on my paycheck. It's gotta go into district.
Good question. So I'm going to say this kind of for the benefit of the because I'm hooked up here. So the question was, so I don't have any sort of individual choice over that. So like, I wanted some in my paycheck, maybe some still to VIBA, HRA VIBA, but I want some extra in my paycheck. Unfortunately, with this kind of a plan, it's not like a flexible spending account where you could individually choose to set some aside or not set some aside. The IRS, because it's tax-free and carries over from year to year, they say the exception they put in there is, guess what? You can't have any individual control over where these dollars go. So yeah, unfortunately not. Now again, want to look at your individual situation. You want to consider what are my retiree healthcare costs going to be, if any. So you want to consider that too, because again, it's still a great benefit. The part that's unfortunate, is that you can't use it now in that new bucket of money in case you incur an expense. That's the hard part, So it'll feel kind of like a 403B, you can look at it, you're glad you're earning it, you can change your investments, everything like that, but you can't access it until the point that you leave, yeah. So again, that conversation is going to be different for everybody. I wish I could tell you had more individual control, but again, the rules are the rules. So just to make sure we cover all of it though, again, so have I been using my VIBA account or trying to save it anyways? What's the current balance? Okay, that's the big piece. Will it cover my deductible or maybe my out-of-pocket maximum? So look at that in your current account. What's your current retirement saving strategy? How much is your health care going to cost? It gets overlooked oftentimes, but for most folks in this wonderful nation of ours, because of current health care costs, if you retired today, so you walked out the door today and you're married, and you live till age 84, you're going to spend about $300,000, $350,000 just on health care. So it's a big piece, so you still want to consider that too. Some other important things though too. What are the potential cost savings of being double covered, if any, right? So okay, if I decide to re-enroll in district insurance, are there any cost savings to that? How do those plans coordinate with each other? That's a big one, because in the old days, right, sometimes if you were double covered, it was like, hey, medical bills? What are medical bills? You didn't have a file set aside, right? You were just like, what? Well, as you probably know these days, it's more of a maintenance of benefits. It's not, they're just going to maintain whatever's maybe the better of the two, but you're still going to have an out-of-pocket cost, generally speaking. So look at that. What, if I decide to come back on district insurance, how much, if any, will come out of my paycheck for that, right? Because as you were saying, because you're not taking it, you have more in your paycheck. So what's the potential there? Yes, maybe I don't like that it goes to this new account, but if I decide to re-enroll and now I've got $200 a month coming out of my paycheck, boy, I don't know if that double coverage is worth it. For some people it might be, but for others it won't. So again, that's the hard thing about insurance. It's so individual, right? And all you can do is look at your past to kind of sort of determine the future, but right, you never know. So you want to look at that. Yep, I guess we kind of covered most of the main questions to consider. So,
But I don't know if you'll know the answer, but could both employees do the H and get an HSA?
yeah, you can. Yeah, you can either enroll in it as individuals. You can have, one family, and it's okay because you're both covered by a qualified high deductible health plan. You can both have health savings accounts. Now, how much goes into that health savings account? Right, you're still going to be limited. You can't both do family and coverage and then both put in $6,450. Right, it's the total is still going to be between both of you $6,450 to the health savings account. So even though yes, can you both go on Plan H and maybe even do family? You can. But how much goes into your HSA is still going to be limited. The IRS is still going to say, you're married, filing jointly, or whatever, $6,450. That's it. You have to, between the two of you, you have to make sure you don't go over that amount. So you still have, there's still a little game. Sharon could probably talk about that. You maybe even have some examples from folks in the district. But so, So that's a lot to say in one short meeting. If you aren't currently opting out, again, the option will still be there, but in a sense, you know, you're just going to be getting a contribution to, for the most part, just a post-employment vehicle. Still a good benefit, but I'm not here to twist your arm and tell you it's for you. It's totally up to you. Yeah. So always fun, these meetings.
You do a good job.
Yeah. Any last final questions? Okay. Well, thanks for showing up. Yeah.